Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Uh, testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So I had to get a. Why am I delayed?
Yeah, it's a big delay.
It's a huge delay.
That's coming through your test.
Okay. This is weird. So I have a huge delay. Um, uh, okay. So can people hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. All right. Let's see here. My this is weird. I have a huge delay because I'm not plugged into my Ethernet. But today we're going to take Hamburger and we are going to. This is weird because it's like a 15-second delay. Not sure how to do this.
Michael, there's a 15-second delay. Can you fix that?
I've never.
Okay. So, what the first step is, I'm just going to pretend like I don't see the delay. And if you have a question, I'm going to have my sister um, monitoring. So if you have a question, she'll ask me, and then because I can't, my counter is a little bit crowded this morning. So we're going to walk through your hamburger for the protein famine and preserving it. And we're going to do it two different ways. We're going to do shredded, like ground hamburger for tacos or beef stroganoff or whatever you like. And we're also going to make meatballs. So the first thing is to defrost your burger, and then you want to slice it like this. And I am going to do this video in segments because I'll answer questions while I'm there. I've got 50 pounds of hamburger here. So here's my hamburger. How much you can get in a jar is going to depend on your family size and the type of or the quality of meat. If you have a low, like high fat, high water, cheap hamburger, you're going to get less. If you get a lean or extra lean, you're going to get more meat. You can get about a pound and a half of um, hamburger in a pint jar. Now, given that we're going into a protein shortage, what you want to do is if you are 2 or 3 people, you want to do this in the pints. Can I see a pint jar here? So this is what you want is a pint jar for 2 or 3 people.
We already have a question about mainstream stores, meat coming from that. Or is it better local? But
It is always better. We have a question. And Sandra, do you want to be cutting?
yeah,
Well,
I'll do that.
Okay, so local is always best. Even back in the year 2000, many of you don't know that from your main stores like Albertsons, Safeway, Costco, in a 1 pound burger like this, you can have up to 5,000 different animals. 5,000 animals in this package. And it could be from all over the world, like a quarter of a teaspoon Argentina, a quarter of a teaspoon from Central America, a quarter of a teaspoon from the United States. It is all best. I got mine from a butcher. And yes, the same applies to wild game. You can do this with wild game as well. Um, David and I used to get a deer or elk, and we would use a hand grinder and make hamburger, and then we would keep. Uh, just a sec, I want to show you what the finished product will look like by the end of the day. So this is hamburger. As you can see, there is a good layer of fat and juice. What you do is we pre-cook the meat. Today, we're going to be pre-cooking the meat, and then we will be making the hamburger and the meatballs. And I will show you both methods. Both of these you pre-cook, and then you pour the juice from the container into the jar up to this point. One in the shelf life on this, well, it used to be 30 to 50 years. Now, depending on your lids, they might even come out of the canner and have to be recooked. This is going to require a pressure canner. So, what tools are you going to need for this project? So, it's nice to have big pans. This is a water bath canner, but we're not going to use the water bath canner. Um, we're going to use pressure canner, and you will have to adjust depending on the type of pressure canner you have. You will adjust the pressure and the time. If you are above 2,000 feet elevation, you're going to have to increase the time and the pressure. Now, as long as your lids, when I press this, you see it's not making sound, but if it's bulging like this and it makes a sound, that means your project went bad. Do not give it to any person. Do not give it to a dog. I would say don't even allow wildlife to get to it. Yes, I've done my own sausage. I've done pastrami. I've done hot dogs. It's basically the same process. You cook the meat, you put it in the jars. Oh, I forgot. Back, sorry, I got a little bit of a cold, and I just thought I'd do this since I was doing 50 pounds of hamburger to invite you into my kitchen. So if you're a family of 3 or more, or if you're have big farm people that you have hearty appetites, I would use a quart jar. But a lot, I mean, you can get like 5 pounds of hamburger in a quart jar. So the problem is going to be if we're facing a protein famine, we might also have a grid down situation. And in that case, you don't want the meat left over. You want to consume it within, at the most, 48 hours. Why? Because you might have unintended guests that you didn't expect. You might have, um, or somebody, God forbid, dies in your household and then they're not eating. So you want to be a little bit flexible. So let me see if there's any questions, and just a sec. Yeah, a cheap electric grinder is nice as long as you have power. But if you don't have power, it's nice to have a manual. And you can pick those manual grinders up at a thrift store for very reasonable. So let me check some more. Let's see. I think that's all the questions. I don't see that. That must have been, if somebody had a question about tap water, do you use tap water? You can use boiling tap water. I like to use the juice and the fat from the meat because in a protein crisis, you are going to need the fat to help give you energy because you are going to be fat efficient. As a person that makes my own beauty products, I did not realize just how deficient people were in fat because we all bought the low fat diet until I would give cream making, body cream making classes, and would use vegetarian like coconut oil, palm oil, and I would give classes, and I never said one word. And I did hundreds of these classes, and instinctively, when we got to putting the product in the jars, there's leftover, just like if you were making a cake. there's leftovers in the bowl. And so instinctively, the people would rub it all over their body. I didn't have, this was men, women, children. They all did the same thing. This was the early 90s, and I realized just how deficient we are in fat. So don't let this little bit of fat discourage you. The day is gonna come when you need this fat. So how long does this process take? Well, it's probably going to take us um, up to 45 minutes to unpackage the hamburger, and then we want to cook it for an hour, whether it's just the hamburger, loose hamburger, or if it's meatballs. And I'll tell you my secret of that. Then we get the canning of the meat for my area about an hour and 45 minutes for pressure canning. And we will take a break in between this. And if you've got questions, or I'll let you go and then just tune in later. And this is going to be recorded and it will be on YouTube so that you can watch the stages without like the all day project that we're doing. And then, then you just let the jars cool. For you want to put them on a towel, and you do not want to move them for 24 hours, because that, especially with the lids these days, they're not high quality like they used to be. So you want to maintain the seal and the integrity of the lid. If you see any with that are bulged, or if it has like a bubble on the side where the seal is, you definitely want to recan it. Will it hurt to recan it? No. Whether it's meat or whether it's salsa, I will recan, because my goal is not to lose product. And I know that you don't want to lose your product either.
Tell me about one of the lists that I did.
Oh, yes. So there are some people out there that said to boil your lids. That was true in the old days when the lids would last 50 years. The truth of the matter is, about 2008 or 9, somewhere around there, the lids went to 18 months. And like I said, there's about a third of my canning I have to recant right away. So you do not want to boil the new lids. Do not boil the new lids, because the seal will not seal. So you're just going to have wasted. Lids are running about $10 a pack now, and that's if you don't get the rings. So you want to make sure that you get the most bang for your buck with your seal. In the old days, I used to be able to reuse my lids. I don't do that anymore because the seal is so dicey, and you're spending a lot of time, a lot of money, whether it's meat or vegetables, whether you're growing a garden or you're purchasing, and you don't want that product lost. Another thing that you need to know about your canned goods, if you're new to canning, is you want your canned goods in a cool, dark room, if at all possible. What you don't want is for your canned goods to freeze. If they freeze, it really does impact the integrity of the whole canned process. And I would not trust that product, whether it's peaches or meat, but especially meat. Um, Botulism is a very real thing. And believe it or not, there are certain people that created a new weaponized version of botulism that they have not told the public about, because they don't want it to get it in the wrong hands. But if you get that type of botulism, which is paralysis, your doctor, you go to the doctor, he's able to help you because he doesn't know. You might have the 2 botulism strains, which Clostridium botulism, or you make this weaponized. There's no way to tell. So here's my first thing. Now I'm going to just turn this particular uh, thing into hamburger, just loose hamburger. So I'm going to cook it on about medium and for maybe a half an hour. And I don't know if I don't know if I can get it up. Here we go. Okay, now I'm going to put it on the stove and I'll tell you how to make meatballs. So you will have to stir this every once in a while so that you don't burn the bottom, because there's nothing worse than burning. If you're going to go to all this trouble, you you want it good. So the next thing, once the hamburger is unsheathed from its packaging, is we're going to make one about 1.5 inch meatballs. Then what we're going to do, we're not going to put anything. If you want salt and pepper, put salt and pepper in. Do not put bread. Do not put eggs. Don't put anything, rice. Don't put it, no onions, because what that does is throw off your processing time, and some things just make your product not safe. So what you do is just add salt and pepper and make a 1.5 inch to 2 inch. Of course, it's going to shrink. So if you do a 1 inch, it's going to be a half an inch meatball. And then what I do is, let me get my pan here. I get a pan with a lip on it. So this is a bar. It can be a lasagna pan if you want. And then I just build this up and I will show you that. It doesn't take it in hardly any time. You just make the meatballs with your hands. And then I put it in an oven at 350 degrees for 1 hour. This browns the meatballs. They stay really nice and tight. You can put them in beef stroganoff. You can put them in spaghetti. You can put them in pesto. You can just do whatever, make hors d'oeuvres out of them, whatever you like. So the next thing we'll be doing is the meatballs. In just a second, I'm going to check and see if there's any questions. Well, I'm waiting for the hamburger to get unsheathed. Let's see here. I think there was a question about saffron. I don't know if that's a brand of seals. There is at Lehman's, there is a lid that you can use. Oh, I can't think of the name. Sorry, I'm dealing with a little bit of a cold here. So there is one that is reusable, but the problem is you have to get the rubber. They have a rubber insert for the seal, and that does go bad after a while. So if you are prepping, you want to make sure that you have extra seals on hand so that you can continue canning. Oh, what are those called? I don't know if somebody knows. Just let me know in the. I know you get it at Lehman's. There is a brand that I thought were just canning, just the lid section, not the rings, at Walmart. And I get home and I try to do some canning. I think it was pressure canning, and unbelievable. Uh, the lids just popped right off, and there went. I was able to salvage the product because it was not messy product. I'm not sure if it was, I think I did it once with hamburger and once with tomato soup. But I was able to salvage it. But don't use ball or care. Never use pour, PUR. Pour is, I've had terrible success. The success rate for seal on pour is maybe 20% seal. So you don't want those. So let's see if there's any more questions here.
I think tell them about Walmart sale mechanic.
So right now there is a Walmart sale on canning. So you might want to take advantage of it. Be careful because the closer that we get to rationing, it's going to be like during the height of COVID, I ordered like 20 pieces of canning jars, and every single jar was delivered to me, 20 cases shattered. So now is the time to stock up. You don't want to be in a lockdown situation where you think you can order from Amazon, and then you get all these boxes that you have to ship back if they'll even take it. It depends what vendor you're getting it from. So what I'm going to do is start making meatballs here. So that's over here. So my sister's helping me today, and I'm very thankful for that. So, get my pan. Now, usually when I do this type of stuff, when I'm on air, I'm not sure if you want to see me or the product. Let's see, is that going to work? Well, I guess I'll just talk, and then sorry about the title. I've changed the title like 10 times, and it keeps changing back to Pastor Andy. So, oh, okay, I can do it. Okay, but here's my meatballs. Meatballs. And you want to do this as fast as possible because when you're doing like 75 pounds of meat, 50 pounds, it takes a long time. Baking, no. BAAL sometimes is good, but all the lids except for the Lehman reusable. Wish I could think of the name of those lids, but maybe as the product is, as these meatballs are cooking, I can look up the Lehman lids for y'all. So basically, what I'm doing is just taking two hands and make it larger meatballs because they will shrink. Now you will get more hamburger in just loose hamburger than you will with the meatballs. But sometimes it's just, especially in a grid down situation, you want some of that comfort food, and there's nothing like meatballs. And especially, even if you're a working person, be able to come home, and these are all pre-cooked. All you do is have to warm it up. You can add sauce. You don't have to add sauce. One of the things that I really do love is the ability to just come home from work, and well, now I work from home, but come home and just open it up. You have your liquid in it, This is one of the advantages of canning versus dehydrating. Um, that you are going to see the day when our water is rationed as well. And when you have it canned in its own juice, you don't have to worry about that. So that's an advantage. Now, I did not put salt and pepper in this because I usually put 1 teaspoon of salt per pint or quart. Uh, when just before I can it up. So this is my one set of meatballs, and now I'm going to put them in the oven for 350 degrees for 1 hour, and then I will take them out, and we will go to phase 2.
Is it on?
No, I'm gonna go. So now what I'm going to do is stir my hamburger, um, my loose hamburger, because I don't want it to burn on the bottom. It can expedite your cooking on the stovetop if you cover um, the pan that you're using. It will help. So hold on just a sec. I use the clay ones. You can get more meatballs in there.
Okay, well,
Um,
are these the size?
yeah, perfect. Let's see if I've got any. Let me check right now and see what those reusable lids are from Lehman. So just, I'll be right back. Oh, Tatler. Ah, shoot. Okay. I remember just as I was bouncing over there. So they're Tatler, Tattler. And the best place to get them is Lehman. I'm familiar with Lehman's, but um, all my good quality stuff, they're one of the last people to have. So I think I'm going to sign off right now. I will come back in about an hour when all the meat is cooked and show you, and then we will fill jars. And then the next step will be to actually pressure can it. So stay tuned. And once again, um, glad to have you in my kitchen this morning. If you have any questions, or I'm going to sign off for a little bit so I can make this. No questions. No, my kitchen is the same color as it's always been. It's just getting light here, and we had our first snow this morning. So this is the way that I celebrate our first snow. canning meat. So anyway, God bless you. We will see you in probably 1 hour. And if you've got any questions in time, just write them in the comments. I don't know that the chat will be available once I stop the feed, but I will be back in an hour. So see